Start lots of seeds in slot trays. You will learn how to plant seeds in slot trays and move seedlings to larger cell trays. By Terry Allen, Cecilia Lapp-Stoltzfus, and Zoe Orr, IRC, Charlottesville. Why learn about this? You can use slot trays to start lots of seeds in a small space. Do this when the space on heat mats is limited, space in the greenhouse is limited, seed is old, germination rate is low, seed is too small to handle. In this photo, we have recently seeded slot trays germinating in a greenhouse. Vocabulary. Germinate. When a new plant cracks open its seed casing and sends out roots and shoots to grow, also known as sprouting. Sprout. When a new plant germinates, or a small new seedling during its first week of life. Seedling. A new small plant during the first weeks of its life. In the photo, we have a 2-day-old squash seedling. You will need the same supplies as for starting seeds indoors. Seeds, seed starting trays, potting soil, vermiculite, seedling heat mat, tape and stick labels, permanent marker, watering can, or hose. So these are the supplies needed to start seeds indoors. Slot trays have divided open channels to separate your seeds. They are shallow, so they need less potting soil to fill. Slot trays are used for crops that have small seeds. Each slot can hold lots of seeds. You can plant thousands of seeds in one tray. You can plant one variety or many varieties in one tray. Label your trays with masking tape along the edge. Write the date and crop or variety names on the tape. Fill your slot trays with seed starting soil. Gently press the soil into the slots with the side of your hand to create a place for the seeds to settle. In this image, we're preparing the slot trays for seedling. Plant the seeds close together, but not on top of each other in the slot. Here we are planting pepper seeds using a seed dial tool. We use slot trays for peppers and tomatoes. We grow a lot of different varieties of these crops and start them on a heat mat. We also use slot trays for herbs and flowers with tiny seeds. So in this image, we're using a seed dial tool to plant peppers seeds in slot trays. Next, cover the seeds with vermiculite or potting soil. Vermiculite holds water to keep the surface moist for good seed germination. If you don't have vermiculite, you can use potting soil. Gently press the cover soil to hold the seeds in place. Again, here we're covering seeds with vermiculite. Label the slots as you go to keep track of different varieties in the tray. You can mix crop types in the same tray if they like the same germination temperature. Peppers and tomatoes both like to start on a heat mat. Some herbs and flowers like cool soil temperatures, so they can share a tray. In this image, we have a slot tray seeded with many varieties of tomatoes. Place the seeded trays on a heat mat if needed for the crop type. Water gently and keep moist until the seeds sprout. Trays on a heat mat can dry out quickly. Most seeds sprout in 4 to 10 days. In this picture, we have seeds germinating in slot trays in a greenhouse. In 2 to 3 weeks, your seedlings will be large enough to handle and begin to grow their first set of true leaves. It can be hard to see the true leaves on a slow-growing peppers. The true leaves grow up in between the seed leaves. In this picture, we have 3-week-old pepper seedlings in slot trays. So true leaves often have a different shape than the seed leaves that come out of the seed first. You can see the difference easily on these larger cropped seedlings. So we have the seed leaves here, and then we have the true leaves in the middle. So you can see the different leaf types on squash and watermelon seedlings. And this is the squash, and this is the watermelon. When your tiny seedlings start to show the first set of true leaves, it is time to move them into larger planting pots or cell trays. So again, we have true leaves and seed leaves on pepper and tomato seedlings. And you can see the true leaves coming up between the seed leaves. Fill your larger cell trays or pots with seed starting soil. Fill as many trays as you will need for the number of seedlings you want to grow. Slow-growing crops like peppers, parsley, and thyme can go in 98 cell or 72 cell trays. Tomatoes, basil, and fast-growing crops do better in 2-inch pots to 4-inch pots. So seed starting trays filled with potting soil for planting. Use a butter knife or flat stick to gently lift a section of seedlings out of the slot. Remove only a small section at a time to keep the roots from drying out. The seedling roots hold the soil together. They must be separated carefully. So here we're removing pepper seedlings from a slot tray. Drop the seedlings onto the potting table from about a foot high to gently loosen the soil from the roots. In these photos, we're dropping seedlings to separate the roots just about a foot off of the table. Always handle seedlings by the leaves, not by the stem. The plant can grow new leaves if they get damaged, but if you pinch the stem too tight, you can kill the seedling. So handle seedlings by the leaves, not by the stem. Holding the leaf of a seedling in each hand, gently separate the roots of 2 seedlings. Repeat this process until you have 6 to 8 seedlings ready to transplant. In this photo, we're separating seedlings to transplant. Use a butter knife or flat stick to make a planting hole in the cell or pot where you want to move the seedling. And here we're transplanting pepper seedling into a cell tray. Holding a seedling by a leaf, gently push the roots into the hole and cover with soil. Repeat so that each cell contains only 1 plant. Gently water the full tray of seedlings. In this image, we're transplanting a pepper seedling into a cell tray. Grow the seedlings in the greenhouse another 4 to 6 weeks until they are large enough to transplant out in the garden. Here we have 8-week-old pepper seedlings in a cell tray. See our stories on greenhouse management for next steps to grow your seedlings to transplant size. And here we're watering seedlings in a greenhouse. Comprehension questions. Number 1, why use slot trays? Number 2, when will you pot up the plants to larger cells? Number 3, how will you remove the plants from slot trays? Number 4, how will you hold the plants? Acknowledgements. Funded by the Office for Partnerships and Public Engagement at the USDA. Text and photos by the International Rescue Committee in Charlottesville, Virginia. Edited and produced by ISED Solutions. Protected by Creative Commons license.